Hello, everybody. Welcome to 6th grade math, lesson 5. If you could please get your fancy green books out and turn to page 14, that would be lovely. When you get to page 14, I want you to work on those three problems for your opening exercise up top here. So just work on those three and come back to me when you are ready. All right, hopefully those are done. It shouldn't have taken you very long, and they should have been kind of annoying because we are past basic addition. There's a reason I'm getting there, don't worry. If you look at the next section, examples 1 through 10, you're going to see it says write each expression in exponential form. Now, we did dabble into this a few months ago. An exponent, very informal way of saying it, is that little number that goes along with a bigger number. So, for example, if I wrote 2 to the third, 3 is my exponent here. It's 2 to the third power, which basically means I'm going to write 2, I'm going to multiply 2 by itself 3 times. So 2 to the third is the same as 2 times 2 times 2. It is not the same as 2 times 3. So now you're saying, but Ms. Passano, it is, nope, because this equals 8. Sorry, I'm spacing out. It's been a long day. 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8, because you do your first 2 times 2, which gets you 4, right? And then you do 4 times 2, and that would get you 8. If you oopsed and you said, oh, this is just 2 times 3, which it's not, that would have given you 6, which is not what it equals. That's why I crossed off the equal sign there. So please be careful with your exponents. They are not just taking this number and multiplying it. I know if this was a 2, it would have worked because 2 to the second power is 4, as 2 times 2 is 4. That's just a weird coincidence. So don't fall for it, please. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you on page 14 to work through the first 2 problems together, and we'll go over the answers. So why don't you pause here and then come back when you're ready, when you're done with 1 and 2, please. All right, welcome back. I hope for number 1 you got 5 to the 5th power, so 5 with a little 5, and then number 2 you got 2 to the 4th power. You did not have to solve it because it just said to rewrite the expression. It did not say to solve the equation, so don't worry if you solved it, but you did not need to. So for number 3, you have 8 to the 3rd power. So that just means you're going to write your 8 3 different times. Now just be sure that you are not adding them, you are multiplying them. You're always multiplying with exponents. So this is 8 times 8 times 8. Okay, and that's all I need to write. I do not need to solve it because it just told me to rewrite each expression in expanded form. So this is exponential. And then this here, sorry, my computer is glaring. This here is expanded because it's bigger, right? It's expanded. It's going more than this one. I mean, in layman's terms. For the next one, 10 to the 6th power. Now for this one, I think you figured it out. You're going to be writing 10 times 10 times 10. You're going to do that 6 total times, okay? Move that down a little bit. So you would have 10 times 6 times 6 times 6. Blah, 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 blah. Now, going to number 5 on page 15 on the top. Could you please go there? That's a trickier one, but it really isn't. But if you're like me, I would have seen G to the 3rd, and I would have been like, I don't like it. There's letters where there should be numbers. What are they doing to me? What is with the G? I don't like it. Don't worry. It's a number. It can be any number. We don't really care what number it is. We're just going to say you're doing G times G times G. So it's G to the 3rd power. I don't care what this is, so I could have literally written G times G times G, and that is my answer, okay? So that's your answer for number 5. All right, hopefully we're doing okay. I hope so far this is a review for you guys. So let's look at number, actually there isn't a number, it's between 5 and 6. It says go back to examples 1 through 4, use a calculator and evaluate the expressions now they want you to solve. I'm not super worried about that right now, but what I want you to look at there is the second line that says, what is the difference between 3g and g to the third power, okay? So again, if you're like me in 5th grade, I would have been like, okay, there you are with those weird letters again. I don't like it. I need something here. Guess what? You can put any number in for g that you want to if you want to solve, if you're curious like I would have been, just to see what my answer would have been. But g is the same here as it is here. So no, whatever you put in for g here, you need to put in the same value here because it's the same letter. If they were different, then they're different numbers, okay? But right now, they are the same. So for example, I'm gonna put in, I'm trying to do something small. Let's put in 2 here for g. So if g equals 2, and again, if you're wondering where I came up with that, I literally just came up with it. I could have done 1, I could have done 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just trying to stay low, and I don't like working with ones a lot just because it doesn't really change my value so much. So if I have g to equal 2, 3g is just saying 3 times whatever that g is, which we said g was 2, so this is 3 times 2. Okay, and I know 3 times 2 is 6. Not very tricky. For the next one, I have g to the third power. G, again, I picked 2. I have to keep it the same. So this is 2 to the third power, which means I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 times 2 times 2, which would get me 8. So the difference, they're not the same. The difference here would be 2 because the difference is between the two answers here. And you can see they're not the same because I got different values. This one got me a lower value than an exponent. Okay, so that's that one. Now, talking. What I want you to do is I'd like you to go back 1 through 4. And why don't you solve those? You can use a calculator. To be honest, I really hope you don't have to, but if you do, go for it. I'd like to assume you know what 2 times 2 times 2 is, though the 8 to the third and the 10 to the 6th is a little bit tricky. So why don't you try to use a calculator for that one. If you don't have a calculator, for example, and you have something like 10 to the 6th, I just want to show you quick. You can write something like that out. Okay, so this is an example of 10 to the 6th. Again, I'm sorry about my computer screen. It's late, and that's why it's doing it. Normally the sun comes in this window and you're fine, but I'm falling a little bit behind tonight. So 10 times 10, you can see my little caret there. I know that's 100. 10 times 10, 100, 10 times 10, 100. Now, the tricky thing is you need to keep your sign the same. Our sign here is multiplication, so I need to keep my multiplication going, okay? And now, if you wanted to, you can figure out 100 times 100. I know this is a base of 10, so I know I can just take my zeros and go from there for an answer. So, for example, I'm just trying to check. Perfect. 1 second. Sorry, had to check something. So I know all these are going to stay 1, and then I'm going to count how many 0 placeholders I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to put those 6 zeros on the bottom here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then my decimal point would go here, and then remember with your commas, you need to cha-cha-cha, as Mrs. Helene says, which I stole from her. Cha-cha-cha, comma, and then you go again, cha-cha-cha, comma. So you should have gotten 1 million for that one. Okay, so 8 times 3, why don't you try that one along with number 1 and 2, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Try that and come back to me. All right, welcome back. For number 1, you should have gotten 3,125. For number 2, you should have gotten 16. And then number 3, you should have gotten 512. We did number 4 together. And now the next part of the directions on page 15, we're going to write number 6 in expanded form, and then they want us to evaluate, okay? So why don't we start there, 3.8 to the 4th power. That's going to be 3 times 8, 4 separate times. So I want you to draw that out. I want you to try to solve it by hand. Again, you can just do 3 times 8 times 3.8, sorry, and then multiply those together and see what you get. If not, a little calculator trick. If you're ready, and I'm hoping your Chromebooks are similar to my teacher computer. So what I do, and I'm hoping they're about the same, is I went to the calculator little app, and I'm going to do it while I'm talking to you. So I went to calculator, and then it did pull up a standard calculator. So all I did was I went to my navigation bar, which is those 3 lines that show for like settings, and I changed it to a scientific calculator. When I was in there, there's a button with an X and a Y exponent. So I typed in my X value, which was like 3.8. I hit that button and then I did 4. And then that would have given me the answer. If not, I'm going to play around on Google while you're working on that to see if there's a calculator you can use to solve, to double check your work. So why don't you work on 6, 7, and 8 and come back to me for the answers. All right, welcome back. So the answers for number 6, you should have gotten 208.5136. Number 7 was 4.41. Number 8 was an awful one. It was 0.421875. I feel like I should be calling out bingo. B4, but we're not having that much fun. I did look into the calculator. So if you want, you can keep this tab open so you can hear me talking. And then if you open a new tab in your internet browser, I know you're on YouTube right now, so open up a new tab, and why don't you go to just look up or Google. All I did was I just typed in Google calculator and it came up. So I'm just going to give you a second to go to your Google search and look up Google calculator. Okay. Google calculator, not the app or anything. I'm literally just Googling Google calculator. All right, and you're going to see a calculator come up. I might look weird because I'm doing it with you. Okay, there's a lot of buttons on here. So why don't you do this with me? You don't need to watch this video to do it. Just listen to my voice. I want you to type in 3.8. Okay, 3.8. And now that you did that, I want you to look at the bottom row of the calculator. Okay, the bottom row. You're going to see on the far left, there's an ANS button. Next to that is an EXP button. And then there's the X with the Y exponent. So now you typed in 3.8, hit the X with the Y exponent button. Okay, and now I want you to type 4. Now you should have seen your 4 come in as an exponent, because it should be smaller and up top, okay? Hit your blue equals, and you should have gotten 208.5136. Sound good? Hopefully, I'm going to play with it again, see what this does. Nope, that's not it. Okay. So that's your little trick if you need. All right, friends. Going to the next page, page 16, I want you to look at number 9 there. Just showing you that exponents can work with fractions as well. So don't be scared when you see a fraction. It's just like a normal number. It just looks a little bit more intimidating. So on number 9, you see that 1/2 multiplied by each other. I want you to just think about how many times do you see that 1/2 written? Okay, count it for me, please. I hope you saw it 3 times. So this would be 1/2 to the 3rd power. Okay. So you can write that there. Now, if you needed to solve this on the calculator, I would have gone to my Google calculator. I would have hit 0.5. Let me just clear it out. I'm going to do it with you. 0.5 x to the y 3 equals, you should have gotten 0.125. Okay. For 10, I don't really like that one. Again, they're putting in z. You could have put anything there for z and then written it out. So if you wrote 2 to the 3rd to the 50th power, you would have written 2/3 times itself 50 times total. So if some of you want to do that and knock yourselves out, I for one do not want to do that tonight. All right, looking at the bottom, let's just do that table, and then we're pretty much on the home stretch for the night. So looking at that table on page 16, number 1. So I'm right here, page 16, number 1. Okay. They have that table. We're just going to work on that. You can see they did the first row for us. Exponential form is 3 to the 2nd power. Expanded is just writing that out. That means 3 times 3. You're doing it twice. And then standard form is just the answer then. So 3 times 3 is obviously 9. Okay. Looking at the next one, they left that blank for us, that exponential form. They gave us the expanded form though. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So what I can do is I can solve that quick, or I can just start writing it in. I know my number is going to be 2, and then my exponent, I'll show you quick. I'm going kind of, so I just wrote a 2, and then my exponent is going to be how many times I see that 2 multiplied. Okay, so why don't you count those up with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, meaning it's going to be 2 to the 6th power. Okay, and now you can solve that. I would like you to try it by yourself first before you go and check a calculator. I know 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is another 4. 2 times 2 is another 4. And I'm getting sloppy, but as you can see, I did like the caret, and I just did that. Now this is 4 times 4. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16. And then I'm going to do the 16 times 4, which is 64, okay? So your standard form, meaning your answer, should be 64. And I'm sorry, this is not the best quality, guys. Bear with me. Next one, 4 times 5. Why don't you write that out in expanded form? Come back to me when you're done, please. I'm hoping for 4 times 5, you did 4 times, so 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. You should have written it factorial times. And then for your answer, you should have gotten 1024. Okay. I'm going to challenge you to try the rest on your own here, and then come back to me for the answer. All right, so for the next one, the expanded form is 3/4 times 3/4. That's what they gave us. So in exponential, you would have written, and I can write it down for you guys as well, that would have been 3/4 to the 2nd power, just like so. Okay, and then your answer, or I should say your standard form, is 9/16, 9/16. I'm sorry, they want parentheses here around your fraction, so sorry. Between your fraction and your exponent, you should always have parentheses, always, always, if it's a fraction, okay? So now, looking at the next one, you might want to change it a wee bit, because they did a decimal, but it can also be rewritten as a fraction. So I'm going to use my parentheses again, my 1.5, and now how many times do you see 1.5 in your expanded form? I see it twice, so I know it's 1.5 to the 2nd power. Okay, and then for standard form, I hope you got 2.25. I do not need parentheses for this one. That is a very ugly 5. I do not need parentheses for this one because I'm not writing any exponents. Tricky, tricky. Okay. Just another thing for number 2, 5 cubed. If something is squared, that means it's to the 2nd power. Okay, so this is 1.5 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, yada yada. Okay, it could keep going. These are all squared. It is to the power of 2 anytime. So if I just asked you For example, what is 5 squared? That just means I'm doing 5 times 5, which would get me to 25. Okay, folks. Now, if I said the term cubed, okay, that means to the 3rd power. So, for example, 1 cubed, 2 cubed, 3 cubed, I'm getting messy, 4 cubed, and then 5 cubed, and you get the deal here. So, for example, 2 cubed is the same as 2 times 2 times 2, okay? So that would equal 8. So, for example, again, if I would have given you anything to the cubed, please know that's it times itself 3 times. Okay, so squared is 2, cubed is 3, all day, every day. That's our, remember we used to say that? All day, every day. That's good math vocabulary there. Now, go to page 18. This is the beginning of your homework. Your job tonight is to finish this whole entire math book. I'm just kidding. That was a bad April Fool's joke. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Okay? No angry emails. Look at page 18. If you're really bored on your April Fool's, I'm being serious right now. You can do this. I'm not checking this for homework. Okay? So, most of you, I'm sure, already crossed it out in a fit of rage because you're mad at me for making that bad joke. Please keep the lesson summary though. Those are handy. Read that to yourself, okay? You do not have to do this. Taking pictures of the homework, it's proving to be very difficult for me to grade them and to see what's going on because you see what we're working with. Obviously, my webcam isn't very good, and yours isn't either. You can barely see my student book page, so I don't expect to be able to see yours. So, what I want you to do is on the math assignment board, there is a link to a Google Doc I made. As soon as you click on it, it's going to prompt you to make a copy. Okay? So, there's no issues of if you made a copy or not. You're going to make a copy immediately. So when you do, it'll say copy of, I believe it's lesson 5. I have it on my map here. Just give me a second. Yeah, it's called lesson 5 math. Okay, so when you make a copy, it's going to say copy of lesson 5 math. You can erase that copy of and then just put your name. Okay, so Allie is going to erase copy of and she's going to write Allie lesson 5 math. Okay, Eli Z is going to cross off copy of and put Eli Z lesson 5 math. Makes sense? There's 4, just kidding, 4 questions there. And I also teach you how to make exponents in a Google Doc. So there is a tutorial at the beginning of it. You're basically going to format, text, hit superscript, and that'll turn it on. It'll keep writing in exponential form until you do the same steps again to turn it off, just like a light switch. You turn it on, it's on, you gotta turn it off to turn it off. So play with that a little bit, get comfortable with it. You know how to use the Google calculator. Please try this on your own though, and you can check it with the calculator, but see what you can do by yourself in the beginning, okay? Next time we're gonna do order of operations, so you're gonna notice in your homework, for number 4, I do have a little PEMDAS question. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please remember what that stands for number 4, so I don't trick you on this April Fool's. Thought I'd be a little stinker and put that in there. So, yeah, we'll start working on lesson 6. And hopefully a lot of this is coming to you because we did sample this before this time period happened when we were doing online learning. So, just looking ahead, ratios again, you guys. The math world is getting pretty exciting. Okay. Well, enjoy your homework. I will need it by, I believe I put 9 p.m. tonight, just so that I can start grading them and marking you present. If I don't have homework, you're considered absent. So this just helps me so I don't have to send emails at 9 o'clock at night. No parent likes that. So please have them done by then so I can check them throughout the day. Okay, guys? Thank you. I miss you. I'll see you next time. Math Guru out.